Why Fish Don't Exist is a double memoir about Lulu Millers, who is the author of the book, and there's also David Starr Jordan, who is this old guy in the 1850s. He's a scientist, a biologist, and Lulu talks about how their lives are actually very similar and how they use different philosophies to deal with problems. It uses these like dual perspectives, their personal experiences, and a series of increasingly unlucky events for David to string together a message on the chaotic nature of life, basically. It's an excellent read. I like it. It talks a lot about traumatic and deep stories in a pretty fun and light way. It doesn't go too dark, basically. Okay, now let's start with a summary, not a brief summary, just a regular summary, because this is quite long. Basically, the story of why fish don't exist is told in a series of 13 chapters of David Starr Jordan's life, which is, again, the biologist mentioned earlier in the 1850s, born in the 1850s. And it has interjections of Lulu's own experiences as well. It basically starts with describing how David, even as a child, was obsessed with categorizing things. He wanted to turn the chaos of the world into orderly structures that he could, understand. He classified stars in the sky, and when he was finished, he moved on to naming flowers, getting the scientific names for all of them, and then finding which ones were categorized together. And he was really skilled at drawing, so he decided to, draw all the flowers and record them in big maps of his town. His mother thought he was going insane, which is why she threw all of his maps away, but he did not give up. He not discouraged, he continued to work and eventually got a master's and bachelor's degree in just 3 years. And around this time, David, even though he was talented and gifted, he was not doing very well because he liked adventuring in nature, drawing, and classifying things, and he didn't like studying textbooks in a lab somewhere, which is what universities, especially at the time, really encouraged to do. Then he met a man named Agassiz, who is basically his prophet. Agassiz was also a naturalist, and he wanted to find out the natural order of the world, just like David did. Agassiz's dream was to eventually classify all living creatures, placing humans at the top and more disgusting things like worms at the bottom, so that he could kind of argue the superiority of humans in the race of the world. He wanted to do this from a god's point of view, from a deity's point of view, to say that, well, if God made all the creatures this way, that means we're still the best. He made a course where basically a bunch of naturalists would go on an island and classify things. This course finally allowed David, who joined, to shine in his role because he loved doing this. And David took all of Agassiz's teachings into his heart. And even though David was not very theistic and didn't really care about the deity part of it, he still believed in human superiority, believed that some people were just better than others, and wanted to classify things into a very orderly world. He especially liked fish. He wanted to discover more fish. As more events began to unfold in David's life, Lulu talks about her own terror of chaos. Even since a young age, she was very, very scared of existentialism, the idea that, well, if nothing matters, what are we even doing here, right? She started to have traumatic events happen in her life. She even contemplated suicide, but she decided to push through. She wasn't very confident or brave in her own life, in her own ideals, which is why she admired David. Meanwhile, David continues to suffer massive drawbacks while he's categorizing fish. They seem to be sent from the heavens. A lightning strike burns down all of his belongings. An earthquake destroys and messes up his entire fish collection, but he doesn't give up. He continues. He works with this elderly couple, the Stanford couple, and eventually forms Stanford University. Unfortunate events happen. Leland Stanford dies, and his wife, Jane, mysteriously is poisoned to death. All of these continue to have impacts on David because he's losing one source of resources from all sorts of places, but he has grit and he continues. David continues to run the university, but darker intentions are in his heart. Why did he go to such lengths to argue about Jane Stanford's cause of death? He refused to believe that she was poisoned and continued to argue with doctors who said so, almost as if he's hiding something. Was it altruism or was it hiding a murder? Both are possible. The story progresses until eventually accumulation of all facts and all the chaos finally gets to a point where after David dies, the greatest fact of them all still ruins his collection. Fish don't exist. There is no scientific category of fish. Biologically, fish is not a very distinct categorization at all. There are mammals, there are birds, there are reptiles. There's no such thing as fish. All of David's contributions, all of his ideas are destroyed by not a natural disaster, not a message from the heavens, but a simple idea. This basically wraps up into Lulu's own life too. She realizes that the diversity of many things isn't easily categorized into specific things, and that doing so only leads to further harm.